tonight has a very, very interesting history. Some of you may have heard of him or his carnivalesque endeavors in Baltimore. James Taylor is the creator of the world's only journal devoted to novelty entertainment, shocked and amazed, exclamation point, and is the co-creator of Baltimore's American Dime Museum and DC's Palace of Wonders. He's considered an expert on weirdness as entertainment, and he writes once in a while too. James told me that he's not going to be quite so carnivalesque in his reading tonight, but I'm a little disappointed and hope he throws a little weirdness in there, since that's what we've come to expect from him. Please welcome James Taylor.
Damaging too many people's paraphernalia. Oh man. The clothes not carnival enough for you? Nah, it's not cutting it. All right, anyway. Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I really wanted to do this tonight was for my mom. The rest of you people can leave. This is all about her. I mean, I do a lot with the sideshow and carnival business, so I get a lot of chances to do that. But what I don't get very many opportunities to do is to read from the other stuff I write. So you'll have to suffer through this. Anyway, no nail boards, no sword swallowing, no walking on broken glass tonight. I had to do that last night. In any event, this first piece, which is from my mom, which I'll try to get through without sort of having my voice crack too damn much, was written on the death of my father back in 1988. And in any event, it's called The End of the Hall for my mother on the death of my father. The hotel-motel hallway is innocent in appearance as it should be. Underfoot, a brownish, grayish, creamish-colored carpet stretches from wall to wall, in and out of every doorway. It has no discernible pattern, more an overall texture than anything else. Doorways run the length of the hallway on both sides, evenly spaced and slightly recessed, so that the nearest doors are visible while the ones receding in the distance become simply darkened depressions. The walls, like the floor, are comparatively nondescript, more texture, more color that hardly lingers except as faint memory. On the ceiling, small pillbox-shaped plastic light fixtures, evenly spaced on the brownish, grayish, creamish stucco, step off into the distance, one over each doorway. Near them, also running the length of the hall, is that pipe one always sees in these hallways, usually festive in color, as straight as a shot, length interrupted by small nozzles, each tipped with a minute metal flower protected by a little hoop of steel. At the end of the hall, far but not too far, is the window. More a window wall, really, glass from floor to ceiling, opening out onto, well, the outside. The outside is the sea, a gray-green boiling mat that stretches out until its boiling becomes as simple a pattern and as indelible a color as the floors and walls and ceiling of this hotel-motel hallway. The sky, a frightening, transfiguring mother of pearl, fills the top half of the view. For reasons felt more at the back of the neck and along each knuckle of the spine, a feeling of transcendence wells and fills the hall. This transcendence, I suppose, this feeling of outsideness fused with childlike, inexplicable joy and fear as big as a building, is best understood by not understanding it at all. I also suppose that's why it comes at the end of things, at the end of medium-length, muddy-colored halls, why it's spotted here and there with doorways we see clearly up close, darker and more frightening in the distance, why it's ornamented with some few gaily colored flowers whose gaiety we've wrongly assumed originates outside ourselves and whose lovely shapes we haven't recognized as simply utilitarian for killing fires. Fear, utility, transcendence, the end of things. I guess, Ma, that's why I write. And why, if we step closer to the window, we'll both be able to hear the ocean better, too. Geez, it's been over 20 years. I was in Ireland with a whole crew of people back, I guess it was about 1990. And I got a lot of work out of it. I haven't read very much of it before, so this will be a kind of experiment that I can subject all of you to. This is great. It's just, you know, ears bleeding and people falling over. It's be good. Anyway, it's called Bays, and it's about 3 bodies of water in Ireland, bays, basically. And the first is Tre Clocher, which is Clocher Strand. In a wall it comes, pea green and boiling, embraced by the rock arms, the scarp of the near-to-hand cliffs, rising in its bowl, tall sea rushing, trough and crest, a solid weather belying any sky, any season. Its mechanics, the deep, long sign forced headlong through narrows, reaching home, the bottomless small bay, wave mountains steeper than the chopped horizon, dissolving ankle high into soft foam. Its mechanics solve a problem with the mind. Its sheer terror, swelling the guts till the throat locks and the jaw hangs slack, that horror the mind can't fix. And the next one is Triana, the Bay of the Birds. As a sheet it stretches from the gravel and cinder road beyond the village, whose name is sentiment itself, past bog and sheep living and dead, below the tall swell of hills and a swell of birds as noiseless as vapor. This fits. An end of day or season, place out of time, this bay of small homes, people who wouldn't scare, who returned or came for the charm, soft weather, the whole earth in one place. This fits as few gifts of the senses bless the spirit. Don't be fooled. Families starved on these roads, ignored in our time. They're owed this quiet. Ignorance is bliss. And the last of the 3 is Galway Bay. Since water in time seeks its own level, so too must we. By this bay, the town is home away from home, summer for some, higher ed, university of life, minute urban sprawl. What's left to come here? What is it we come to find? Listen, at some point all streets fall silent. Even the lone dog grows to fear its own bark. The pubs empty their last past curfew guests, and the pre-dawn winds still premonition. Listen at the stone arch of the bridge to the river. The rush and hiss, bass, rich, meets surf so close by it raises goose flesh, awful longing. Don't fight sanctuary, rebirthing, the roaring of the body itself. Everybody have a great 2012? Mine sucked. God, what a terrible year. No, I mean, I had some great things. I mean, my mom lived. She came out of open heart surgery at the age of 87, which, hey, look at this, Mom. Round of applause just because you got sick. Jeez, you know, anyway. Yeah, 2012 was a kind of really sort of contentious and beat up year for me. So I'd like to finish with 2 shorter sort of things that, well, they're about love, if you will. And the first one's entitled, Because I Didn't Take the Picture. February 28th, 1985, Fairmont, West Virginia. The Plain Motel stands in front of you, the rolling snow-patched WVA farmlands, a few distant cows, and a picnic table behind. A gallon of red jug wine colors the gray scene. You stand and laugh with the others, plastic cups toasting the frozen air. Pete looks for all the world like Ferdinand Marcos with a silly wool cap pushed on his head. Jim looks like my father in fatter days. Tom looks not quite like anyone except perhaps a linebacker or someone's nearly forgotten cousin. And you look as you'll always look to me, like those pictures from your childhood, a sly sidelong glance at whoever took the picture. You tell me to take the picture. I leave the camera in its box. Now in some bottomless future, No one need wonder whose faces those were, smudging the unplaceable landscape. No one need guess our ages when the shutter clicked, or try to date us by our clothes, invent lives for us they wish they'd had. Now they'll know who and where we were that day so long ago, and they'll know it was I who wrote this, the real picture. And the last one I'll read tonight is called Begin. The ocean's cadence did not begin at all, though that's how it's remembered. How chill the sea air was, I clearly recall, but where our warmth began, I don't know. I leaned to hear you softly sing, and your hair gently brushed my lips. I moved my own in echo of your low song. They met. That's not how it started. It was that time at the lakeside when gray storms colored all the world. The hills rose in receding walls, the sky blue flowers madly bloomed, and I traced my whole poor life along your fluid wrist. I should begin this again. I've said and believed one loses with age the desire to fulfill desire, but what I have I can't shake. I begin days stiff and cold in every joint, and I've learned how sudden a door can be, how thick a wall, how wide a bed. This learning has made me lust to know where things begin. But how can I know where land, air, and water start, where a song, our warmth, where we may end? I place my fingers in your palm and am confused over whose pulse I feel. The confusion is where we both begin.